Hello. There we go. Hey guys, it's your humble host. Looks like my co-host at the moment is AFK. It's alright. Hopefully he pops in here. Um, as the title describes, I wanted to talk about something different this week. There's stuff I came across in the, media that had to do with transgender sports or trans people joining sports, about Medicaid being forced now to pay for transitional surgeries, FDA ban on flavored tobacco, and then a little bit of PewDiePie. I don't want to talk about the incident that people are trying to connect him to. I'm going to treat it like Voldemort, but let's see, there's 3. Oh, hey, Green Line Guardian. So, give a few minutes for my co-host. A couple things real quick. You'll notice there are now 4 badges. You have AnimeMatsuri, you have HawaiiCon, and then you have Con-Munnity Festival. So, AnimeMatsuri is in June. It's the 13th to the 16th. Houston, Texas. HawaiiCon is obviously in Hawaii. It is September 26th to the 29th. All the details are in the description on the info. And then Con-Munnity Festival already passed, but they got trashed. And due to their equipment loss, they were put $30,000 in the red. So, with that being said, I've tried to reach out to them to see if we could get something started. I haven't heard anything back, and I think they're still investigating, so they're going to keep quiet a little bit longer. That's my hypothesis anyway. But yeah, looks like we had some more craziness happen this week. Hirohi, one of the big YouTubers that has been covering the Vic Banyana stuff, his entire channel has been demonetized. There is a Twitter status about it, which I'll show you guys real quick. Let me flip over to the TV. Not that. But I think he literally just did a video on something. And they haven't been like high quality videos, it doesn't matter. But yeah, my entire YouTube channel has been demonetized instantly. My livelihood is at stake due to what is either a bug or the algorithm or from human error due to a very contradictory system. A video link below will explain further. And I did see the video. Pretty much what it's telling him to do now. Hello, Hirohi. During a recent review, our team of policy specialists carefully looked over the videos you've loaded to your channel, Hirohi. We found that a significant portion of your channel is not in line with our YouTube partner program policies. As of today, your channel is not eligible to monetize, and you will not have access to monetization tools and features. Please go to your monetization page to read more about the specific policy our specialist flagged. We know this is tough news and sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. We have a responsibility to ensure our community is safe for creators, viewers, and advertisers. At the same time, we understand that you may have unintentionally made mistakes. That's why you're able to reapply for YouTube partner program in 30 days. This 30-day time period allows you to make changes to your channel to make sure it is in line with our policies. What this means for your channel, you'll continue to have access to most creative features on YouTube that enable you to grow your audience, build your community, and manage your videos. You can upload, edit, or delete, read, respond to, or moderate, analyze your channel performance in YouTube Analytics, get best practices and strategic advice from Creator Academy, connect to other creators in the YouTube Help Forum. So, he has to go through and either reshuffle his channel. I know this happened to another YouTube user, for those of you who are familiar with cognitive thought. He got demonetized a few months back, and it kind of took him a little while to figure out what needed to go. He had to scrub YouTube videos off of his channel, and he was finally granted monetization back. So this is rather messed up. I do know that Hirohei uses some anime images and whatnot, so I don't know if several companies struck him at once. I really don't know what happened. He literally was up and running full scale the other day. I watched one of his videos of his. There was nothing going on with his channel, so this is out of the blue, and I don't know if this has anything to do with the Vic Manana stuff, him covering the Vic Manana stuff. I don't know if YouTube's now doing a crackdown. I don't know. I really don't know. Again, for me, this is why I am very careful with what material I use. Like, all my stuff is custom. I don't use anything copyrighted because I don't want to get hit. Now, granted, speaking of getting hit, because apparently that privacy strike E-Flotis gave me, it actually did remove my video. And to keep my word, for those of you who are not aware, I'm gonna pull up the thing again. Let me touch base with the chat here. Echo. Yeah, it's pretty dead tonight, and I'm not sure why. That's okay. I'm gonna keep rolling. People can watch this after it processes. No big deal. Could just be a bad night. There's been so much crazy stuff going on, and I'm doing this as as I'm waiting for my co-host. So, to touch upon YouTube getting struck, E-Flotis put out a post. I'm gonna put it here. Had put out a post a while back claiming that Jessie Pridemore had busted her arm or whatnot, and let me flip this over.
It turned out to be false.
Oh, hey, Ichabod, there you are. Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard yet, but yeah, she got my video removed. Why is it not showing? Oh, that's right, because
What, the Flotus chick?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous, man. It's...
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. Sorry for the big screen stuff, but I'm having to do this because I forgot OBS on this new computer is a little bit weird. But yeah, she claimed that Jessie Pridemore broke her arm. She was in a cast, or actually broke her elbow, or whatnot. So what I did, because the Yellow Flash went and mentioned it on his video, and let me try to make sure that I do not have stuff pulled up. Where are those photos again? Because like I said, I will show them on stream. You can kiss my ass, because she also did strike my call out video. So this is one photo of her busting her elbow. Took a bad tumble on my elbow during second shift for fate stuff. Yeah, so no, she broke it herself. She put it in a cast herself. And when she got called out on it, she proceeded to flag people. She flagged me, she flagged the Yellow Flash. I do not know if he got his stuff removed, but if she flags this stream is being backed up to another area, so I could just grab that and re-upload it. It's not that freaking hard to do. The power of the internet is a wonderful thing, and these idiots just don't fucking get it. But anyway, seeing how my co-host is here, how are you doing there, Ichabod?
I'm doing okay. I got distracted. I was getting ready to eat and didn't even think about it, and just kind of got lost on what I was doing, you know?
That's alright. Let's see. Cold Summers asks, is there an update with the Save James situation? No. There has been no legal update. There is no update with the evaluation itself. So I am in there just as you are. I am keeping contact with Jeff Younger and some of the others, mainly Jeff and his girlfriend. But otherwise than that, it's still, like I said, it is ongoing right now, the evaluation. It's taking an awfully long time. I think they're trying to be as thorough with it as they can, which is not a bad thing, mind you. So I will definitely update you guys when I get updated with stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to flip back over the TV because we're actually going to try to cover, oh my god, the stuff that we wanted to talk about tonight, if nothing else happens. And for those of you who caught like the brief itty-bitty stream, I actually did a test stream to make sure my channel did not have a ghost strike, because those are a freaking thing. I never had a video removed before, so wanted to be sure. Anyway, as I said, I wanted to cover the found an article how Medicaid must now cover gender transition surgeries. And this is by GovernorPalin.org. I've never seen this website, but I guess it's run by Sarah Palin. Yeah, thankfully it's a very short one, so. A unanimous...
I'm not sure.
What?
I'm not sure to the validity of Sarah Palin as a source, but fair enough.
I don't know, we can always pull up another article if you don't like this one. A unanimous ruling from the Iowa Supreme Court may be drastically changing the landscape of Medicaid coverage. According to the judicial body, Medicaid must cover gender transition surgeries because the surgeries are medically necessary. Erie Good and Kara on bail, transgender woman backed by the ACLU, has sued the Iowa Department of Human Services for its policy against funding transition surgeries, calling it discriminatory. The DHS had considered transition surgery to be cosmetic without medical purpose. Iowa Supreme Court...
You are echoing.
I'm echoing?
Yeah, you've got a little bit of a vibration going on with it.
Echo. Echo. Oh, I know what it is. Sorry, guys. Okay, is that better?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay, sorry. I had, my OBS was picking up both mics at the same time. Echo!
Thank you, Madam Zayla, for pointing that out to us.
Well, what was it? Somebody, Green Lion Guardian, said echo, but I thought he was making fun of like how empty it was, like poking me at it, so I didn't catch on. Sorry, Green Lion. Sorry, madam. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Iowa Supreme Court Justice Susan Christensen wrote that the DHS existing bar on Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming surgical procedures discriminates against transgender Medicaid recipients in Iowa under Iowa civil rights laws. In 2007, Iowa legislators added gender identity, to the Iowa Civil Rights Act. I'm just really starting to hate that word. According to the report, the Supreme Court's decision upheld a lower court's decision to overturn the ban. The lower court's decision was appealed by the state. As the Des Moines Register reports, the average cost of a gender reassignment surgery can range between $20,000 to $100,000, which puts it well out of the range of a person who qualifies for Medicaid. And that's very true because I've been on Medicaid or with food stamps, they offer you state insurance. They only cover so much, and it's not a lot. So for Iowa to even require Medicaid to even cover that is, in my opinion, bullshit, because Medicaid, it's state funded and we already have issues with DHS, all that wonderful stuff. Freaking stupid. Here's more. The courts. Go ahead. You were gonna say something.
Yeah, it's a situation of how much the deductible is, because the deductible is a lot, and they will cover a good portion of stuff, but if it gets down to the point where they don't want to cover it, you're just going to be laid down with a whole bunch of debt that you can't afford to pay off, and that is always really depressing.
Yeah, Medicaid is supposed to be state insurance to help those who can't afford insurance, who meet a certain income level that's very low. Like I said, me and my husband used to be on food stamps. We got state insurance, and then when our incomes went up, we got kicked off it, which is fine. We don't like to be on state help anyway. That's just us. So, but yeah, no, that don't make sense. The court's unanimous decision struck down the administrative code governing Medicaid in Iowa that classifies transition-related surgeries as cosmetic, reconstructive, or plastic surgery. But that's what it is. It is reconstructive or a form of plastic surgery. Now, I've seen a simulation of the male to female surgery, but still, it is reconstructive. It is a reconstructive surgery. Medicaid should not be responsible for this shit. I'm sorry. Let's see. In affirming a district judge decisions, Justice Susan Christensen wrote that the express ban on Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming surgical procedures contradicted the gender identity protections, which I do. Gender identity, that's pretty much saying you can be I can't even talk. Gender binary or whatever the fuck that word is. Protections in the
gender non-binary.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm having issues today. In the Iowa Civil Rights Act. Gender identity, or the deeply held sense of who one is, confusion, which may differ from the sex organs with one which was born, a sexual orientation, or added to the Iowa Civil Rights Act as protected classes in 2007. Under the statute, transgender Iowans have legal protections against discrimination in education, employment, housing, and public accommodations. Medicaid, a state and federally funded program, is considered a public accommodation. Which, okay, that is true, but it's government. It is not the public itself. It is government funded, not public funded. But the court stopped short of ruling that this was a violation of Equal Protection Clause in the Iowa Constitution. And this is like a tweet. So what are your thoughts on this, Ichabod? Because, yeah, have you messed with food stamps, any of that?
Yeah, I've had to be on them. But everybody needs help sometimes, unless you were born super rich. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's one of those situations that they need to let the population of the state that will be covering it vote on it. If they say, yeah, sure, why not? We're willing to take the risk and we're willing to take a minor tax hike to cover it, fine, whatever. Lord knows we need more infrastructure anyway. But, yeah, no, I'm sorry. If it gets down to the point, you got to be that person to go, vote whatever way you want to vote, and then we'll all have to live with what the state decides, as long as the state covers the tax to do it. So if you want to be inclusive, you're gonna have to put it to a vote and then let the population decide. Chambers, is your mic muted?
Ah! This is really starting to get on. What? This is really starting to get on my nerves. Hold on.
Okay, that's weird because it's picking up both mics again.
Okay, no, I know what it did.
Okay, it seems fixed now.
Yeah, it's how do I get rid of this? Hold on, I'm trying to see. Okay, so there's that problem there. Okay, that should fix it. Ugh, fucking OBS. What was the last thing you heard me say before that went stupid?
It seems a little whiles back, but yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh,
Just
so
yeah, we got it fixed now.
okay, golly. Sorry guys. So pretty much what I was saying was with all the transgender stuff, when you hear the word inclusivity, I'm really starting to hate the word. I touched it upon, we're not going to talk about it really, but I released a video early today that talks about being inclusive and has to do with trans people, not transsexuals. Trans people should be allowed in a biological woman rape shelter, Vancouver, Canada. So, you know, and I've told my viewers before, you know, I have no issue with transsexuals, people who are post-op, pre-op. That is your business. Or if you are like in between the process, whatever, it's not a recommended outcome I agree with. I don't promote it or whatnot. You're free to pursue whatever. But there are boundaries, and several of those boundaries are starting to be crossed. Canada is a perfect example, and now we're starting to see it within our own system. This financial with the Medicaid stuff, again, we don't have enough to be going around. They've been trying to get more and more people off of Medicaid, DHS, and all that. The government's been slowly cutting away at that fund. So I think to tax on more, something that is really, really expensive, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not everybody well, okay, you know, let me just be straightforward. Nobody needs the surgery. That's just my opinion. I do think that there's other ways. That's just me. But again, pursuit of liberty and your choice to live how you will.
Yeah.
I do think that this should not be Medicaid responsibility because we already have, it's already being stretched. Could another fund, which say, I don't know, be funded by the LGBT, by GLAAD, the ACLU, you know, those programs always screech about, yeah, inclusivity and diversity, and yeah, why don't you help fund all these patients with all your guys' bitching? Anyway, so there's...
Yeah, no, you're
Go
not
ahead.
wrong, but like that's why I said have the state vote on it, because you know if it's what the state wants, then they have to vote on a tax hike to pay for it. But if they don't vote on it, then you know, sorry, we tried, and then they get their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, and the fact that gender identity was even added to the protected class category is just garbo. That gender identity, you can have someone say, well, I'm a male but identify as a woman. No, you're confused. You need to go to a therapist.
Well, they do that for a reason.
What?
Well, they do that so they can't just be fired for being trans, which also includes transsexuals. Like, so let's say Tranime went in to get a job. No real problem with Tranime. She's a perfectly reasonable person.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Goes in, but gets the job, but they find out that she was not female at birth. Adding her to protected classes means that they can't fire her exclusively for that, or deny her service somewhere exclusively for that.
See, and I get that, but when you have, I'll give you an example. Like, okay, because with employers, and we'll touch upon this a little bit, with employees, they want the employees to be presentable. They want them to actually, you know, look nice and not look like a clown. That includes makeup, size of earrings, how you do your hair color, what have you. So when you have, and this does not include transsexuals, we're going to take them out of the category, so they're not part of this equation, and you're going to understand why. So when you have somebody who comes in and identifies as gender fluid, and it's a guy wearing a pink tutu or like a skirt or a tie or something. It comes into work, say a business setting. No, I don't care if you identify as the color purple. You're either going to commit to one gender or the other, or you're going to get the hell out because you look like a damn clown. It's just like, no, but pick one. And I mean, I just, I am to the point because more and more stuff is coming out. Like, we're going to cover the biological people who have made the transition and them going into sports, which we're going to talk about that next. But there's so many boundaries that are being crossed with this, and again, hashtag not all. There are transsexuals, post-op, pre-op, in between op that want nothing to do with this circus. They just want to do, like Triname, they want to live their lives. They went through their process, what they felt was best for them, and they want to be left alone. They don't want to be dragged into the bullshit. People like Triname having to come into the circus and the bullshit to keep others from doing crazy. So, it's just a mess. Let me touch base with the chat. Anyone who has a disorder should see a therapist. I have autism spectrum disorder, and I see a therapist. It's just common sense. Yeah, no, and it is. It's just when you have people who they don't want to deal with their stuff. And let's see how long we've been going. Let me pull up the next article here. Half an hour. Okay. So, like I said, this ties into our other article. Ichabod, did you have any more thoughts on the Medicaid stuff before we switch over to... No?
I think it's pretty well, it's, like I said, I would just have the state vote on it. If the state decides yay or nay, whatever. So that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah. Okay, so this has been a reoccurring problem. This has been a reoccurring issue because, again, this is another boundary crossed. Hate me, I don't care, but, you have to accept the reality of what you chose, or the lifestyle you chose. And newsflash, again, go away, Windows, I don't care. Just because you do make the transition or whatever, or you go down that path, does not mean you have access to everything the opposite sex. It's just, that's not realistic either. You still have your biological body. It still functions, even though it doesn't function its natural way. It's still your biological body. So, this comes from thenation.com, and they call it transphobia. No, it's called biology. Transphobia's new target is the world of sports. This is a growing backlash developing against trans women competing in women's sports. Last week, a Columbine tennis legend Martina Navratilova in the London Sunday Times argued that trans women be barred from competing in women's sports, and that I do agree with. And the far right is taking her arguments and running with them. In South Dakota, much to Martina's chagrin, it must be noted, Republican politicians recently used her column as justification for a proposed ban against trans athletes in high school sports. Again, I do agree with. It was the fourth time an anti-trans bill has been put forward in South Dakota so far during this legislative session. All four have been unsuccessful. Meanwhile, in Connecticut, two trans high school athletes have ignited more controversy. Terry Miller and Andrea Yearwood finished in first and second place. They are, if you look up their pictures, their names, they are male to female, and I don't even know if they went through the surgery. They just identify as women now. Second place, respectively, at the State Open Indoor Track Championships last month. Instead of celebrating one of the greatest moments in their lives, they were immediately put on the defensive about the right to compete in the first place. Because it's biological men in a biological women's sport. You can change your body all you want, so it does not defeat your biology. The Daily Caller, Tucker Carlson's, Pet White National's website posted an article, forgive me for not linking to it. Oh my god, SJW article, yay! That crudely misgenders both Miller and Yearwood in its headline. Male runners continue dominating girls' high school track in Connecticut. But it is what it is. It's biological males in a biological women's sport. There's no getting around that. You guys want to play make-believe? No. It has been shared tens of thousands of times, hoping to advance the idea that young trans women whom the Daily Caller identifies as male are invading girls' and women's sports. First it was the bathrooms, now it's athletics. How much more does this freaking Garbo article have?
It's a waste. Do you want me to take over?
No, probably won't finish it. But something to touch upon too is it's not just with high school that we're seeing this. It's with wrestling. You've had, who was it? It was that male to female wrestler, very big, bulky wrestler, went to, I believe, women's MMA, and the top biological female MMA fighter said that she felt so overpowered. You have fighters now backing out of competitions. Like, I don't think so. There was also an incident floating around on Twitter of a young man refusing, and I can't remember if she was trans or, oh no, she was a girl, she wasn't trans. Was a biological girl, but again, this also has to do with that boundary as well, because it's still biological women. A guy backed out of a wrestling match because he was made to fight a botched woman, and he refused. So it's, I mean, you choose your own lifestyle, but you need to accept the reality that even what you choose is not going to open all the doors for you. And I really hate how people are treating it like it is. Let's see, the Daily Caller, oh, I already read that. Yearwood told the Associated Press, I have learned a lot about myself and about other people through this transition. I was trying to focus most on all the positive encouragement that I've received from family, friends, and supporters. I use the negativity to fuel myself to run faster. I spoke to trans activist Chase Stragio from the ACLU, who told me over the past few weeks we have seen an escalation in rhetoric surrounding trans athletes competing in sports consistent with their gender. The anger directed at these athletes, many of them who are children, are largely being driven by people who have never spent a day in their lives advocating for women's sports and now claiming that trans girls and women's competing is violating the integrity of women's sports. And it is, because again, you have biological men, does not matter what surgeries they went through, and that is nothing to my viewers who are transsexuals. That is your business. But again, there are boundaries that are not to be crossed. You are still biological male. Women who transition into men, you're still biological female. Your body may not act natural to a woman anymore because of what you put into it and what you have done away with, but you're still biological female. And it's still going to behave up to a certain point as its biological function. I'm not trying to offend, but others are athletes who... Did I skip? Oh, yep, no. Others were athletes.
No, you're at the right spot.
Who, like Martina Navratilova, are responding out of fear and misinformation about what it means to be trans. No, it's called biology, dude. Men physically overpower women in general. Men are able to put on more mass. And how sex bodies operate in the world. There's no confusion about that. I urge people to exercise caution before attacking trans athletes, as many people are being swept up in the polemics of those like the Daily Caller who would prefer that trans people not exist at all. No, it's not okay. No, it's reality. You guys are trying to shove trans this, trans that everywhere, and then you have people who aren't even like fully committed, that they want to do the half and half and like stay confused. And granted, I think the entire ball is confused, but you have people who, as I said in my video earlier, are willing to commit to a path, not just, puddle around in one or the other. I contacted Dr. Nicole Lavoie, director of the Tucker Center for Research on Girl and Women in Sport, about the way ignorance, fuels the fires against these athletes, who told me, unfortunately, the backlash surrounding both athletes is in part due to lack of education and factual knowledge about transgender individuals. No, there's no lack of education whatsoever. Both girls are in hormone suppression, which negates any competitive advantage due to testosterone, but they're already developed. These are teenage boys on the cusp of manhood. They are already freaking developed. Puberty is done with them at this point. 17 to 18 years old. High school. End of high school. They are fully developed. They have all their hormones. They have all their stuff. They're still going to overpower women, and they're still going to be able to bodybuild like normal men for the most part. Now, once they start estrogen, that could affect it. I'm not a doctor, medical professional in any sort of way. But estrogen,
it will.
Yeah. But right now, the hormone suppression, because they're fully developed young men, it don't mean shit. Even with the hormone stuff, even with putting on estrogen, even with the athletes, the full belt male athletes, when they transition, they still overpower naturally biological women. You can't get around this shit. There's no lack of education. Let's see. There are so many factors that go into athletic performance. For example, to name a few: physical training, conditioning, dedication, motivation, quality of coaching, nutrition, and psychological skills that get erased when the sole focus is on gender identity and hormones. Because hormones play a part in how your body's able to build muscle mass. Female frames are smaller and more delicate. That's just the truth of the matter, because our bodies are meant to reproduce life. We're more fragile and more sensitive. Now, our bodies, to a certain degree, can take pain more, but that is through childbirth. That is not for full-on brawl like men. Men are conditioned for full-on brawl, and they can take pain more that way. Their bodies are formatted for it. So it's not that people are not educated. We're well educated, and that's what we're telling you to shove off with this shit. Sorry. Andrea Yearwood made a similar point to the Associated Press when she said that any advantages she may have had part of the lottery of advantages that every athlete attempts to leverage. One high jumper could be taller and have longer legs than the other, but the other could have perfect form and then do better. One sprinter can have parents spend so much money on personal training for their child, which in turn would cause the child to run fast. Bull fucking shit. No, it wouldn't.
Okay, so, here's the thing. Personal training, depending on how much personal training you're getting, can increase your speed just because of the conditioning of the body. But what they're neglecting to point out is the difference of the skeletal structure between male and female bodies.
Yes.
Female bones are slightly less able to handle impact. They have a higher chance of injury in athletics, and they have a higher chance of damage to the body and muscles. That's because they're not, and it's nothing against women, because women have there are amazing female athletes out there. But in the end of it, there is something to be said about the differences in the skeletal structure, the amount of damage each body can take. And when it comes down to this whole thing with putting transgender people that have grown up as male, but transitioned to female, you still have the benefits of the skeletal structure, the durability of the body, which is not changed by your hormones. And it gets to this point of it's like, okay, I tell you what, people, what we do is we completely desegregate sports for 2 years. And then when you all start to complain, we can have this conversation again. But if we completely desegregate all sports, that includes boxing, wrestling, MMA, sprinting, fencing, gymnastics, all of it, completely desegregate it entirely for 2 years. And I guarantee you these people are going to be complaining their heads off because women aren't winning anymore.
Yeah.
They win nothing.
And I will say, and this may, I don't like feminism, but there's something that I will agree with on the TERFs, which his term is transition exclusionary radical feminist. Something I do agree with on them, this one point, is you do have more biological men invading biological women's spaces. That is not okay. Like I said, you choose your life, you chose your path, that's fine. But accept the reality that just because you decided to do certain things to your body, hormone-wise and surgical-wise, does not mean you have access to all these other things. You still have a biological body different from theirs. You still operate differently mentally. Because I know that people like to argue, oh, well, there's the gray matter versus the white matter, so male brain in a male or female body. Horseshit. So there's still boundaries in place whether people want to believe in them or not. And I just, like I said, I'm seeing more and more of this shit, and I'm really starting to not give a crap, and I don't want to bite my tongue anymore, man. I really don't, because it's legit making me mad. There's people who are tolerant of those boundaries. There's people who are pushed to the point just like, you know what, I don't give a shit anymore. Let's continue. Let's see. There's another argument against allowing trans athletes to compete with biological gender athletes. I'm not using the term get bent. That suggests that their presence hurts biological women and biological girls. But this line of thought doesn't acknowledge that trans women are in fact women. No, they're not. They are biological males who did the surgeries to make themselves like women. They're not biological women, and they're not ever going to be biological women. It's no. And again, I'm not trying to offend, but this is biology, this is science, this is freaking basics. Men and women's bone structures are different. Men have a less rib. Their skin is tougher. Their legs are, I believe, their hips are smaller than women's. I believe women's are the one that has the wider hips. Women's hips are shaped more like a heart, while men's are more straight. So no, they are not women. Trans men are not biological men. I mean, I'm going to respect your privacy if nobody knows, and it's none of my business.
Biological women, not biological.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Respect your respect your privacy and whatnot. But tell me, I'm gonna look at you goofy. No. Let's see. The fundamental argument of the Daily Caller and its ilk erases this reality in the ugliest possible fashion. It's not reality. You guys want to play make-believe, and you guys want to shove inclusivity and all this shit everywhere that it doesn't belong. I mean, Canada's a perfect example of what not to do, especially now that they're attacking shelters for biological women who were raped and assaulted. Good job, Canada. Way to set up the example. So no, you guys are crossing way too many boundaries. Dr. Katrina Karkatsy's co-author of the forthcoming book, Testosterone and Unauthorized Biography, said to me, sport is one of the worst domains for institutionalized discrimination against trans people. Current conversations around fairness and sports center on women's sports only and are often steeped in paternalistic language around protecting female athletes. And yes, because there has been documentation time and time again of when you have biological males enter biological female sports, they dominate all of them. Every single fucking time you will have a biological male win, whether it be the track, wrestling, swim, whatever. So it's like, no, it needs to stay separate. These conversations are damaging because the underlying assumptions are inherently sexist. No, they're not. Biology is not sexist. I don't care. Biology is not your friend. It's not an emotional feelings friend. That female athletes are always inferior to male athletes, so we must police women's sports in order to protect women. Okay. Oh my god, they did not just pull that shit. Okay, so as we just talked about, men's bodies and women's bodies are different. They're always going to be different. We can bring up the freaking military. And I know this isn't sports related, but it's still heavy fitness and you must be in shape. So they did studies to where they had a co-ed group go out versus an all-men group go out. Guess who performed better? The all-male group. Why? Because they're conditioned for it. Men's bodies can naturally do that when they're conditioned. And I know that there are exceptions, whatever, and this is not shitting on female soldiers. Thank you for your service. There are moms, aunts, daughters who go years without seeing their kids, their husbands, whatever. I'm not shitting on any soldier. My point is, though, I've even seen female soldiers, female Marines go, this is horseshit, because they lowered the standards for women to get in. So, it's not sexism. Biology is what it is. We are made to complement each other, not overthrow or blend in with each other. I'm so sick of this shit. Any thoughts, Ichabod? You've been sitting there quiet.
Like I said, desegregate. Desegregate entirely. If they have no problem with trans women in women's sports, fine. Just make all the sports completely co-ed. If they want to go down that road, fine, go for it.
I say if they want to go down that branch, create a whole different branch of sports. Just don't ruin what we got, but it's probably going to happen anyway. Let's see. But I love how that line, oh, well, it's sexist because they believe that female athletes are always inferior to male athletes. But do you notice that? So they're right here, just this little sentence right here, they're acknowledging that the people who identify as female are males. Did you catch that? By they're pulling the sexism card? It's incredible. They only use it for when it's convenient for them. I love that. This police scene does nothing to protect women. It only serves to turn women against one another. Okay. Oh, see, and then they go back. Oh, well, those identifies women as women. Oh, you guys are not sneaky. You guys are stupid. No, it doesn't turn women against each other. Biological women do not want biological men in their spaces at all. It's not transphobia, it's not sexist, it's not discriminatory, it's you do not belong here, you do not biologically function, and you do not have the same needs as I do. Get the fuck out. And I need to, like, tone it down. I'm not trying to offend people, but, oh my god.
Tatiana actually has a good idea on this.
Tatiana is she in the chat?
From the...
Oh, yeah, she is.
From in the chat, said, testosterone is a more potent hormone compared to estrogen. Yes, transition can change things a bit, but not entirely. I think a trans-only division would be the best way to go. The problem with that is population. Like, trans people are what? 1 to 5% of the world population.
But
you wouldn't have enough athletes to have a trans only.
Well, do a specific sport or something, but that's not a bad idea. Quit trying to force everybody into everyone else's spaces. It is not okay. Like I said, go ahead.
I'd just say do a co-ed division. If you want to go down the isolated division route, just do co-ed. Why not? I mean, at this point, if we're gonna blur the line so much that there's trans women competing in cis women's sport, I mean, screw it. Just do a co-ed division, and then you don't have the problem.
But anymore. If you let it, you're not going to be able to recover those sports, because then other people are going to sneak in other rules. No, I do think people need to stand their ground on this, just like with the Vancouver Rape Relief Center told the freaking city to fuck off with their money. It's like, take your money and fly. We're going to keep our policies for a reason. It's not about you. It's not about inclusion. It's about helping our fucking victims. Oh. Granted, this is coming from feminists, no less. I don't know if they identify as TERFs or regular feminists, but it's just like, no, it's not about inclusivity. Men do not belong in here. They are not welcomed in here. Let's see. And that's vice versa. If it was a men's shelter, biological women, not welcomed in there. Go to a women's shelter. Let's see. Where did I leave off?
Additionally.
Thank you. Additionally, we continue to see an overemphasis on biology because it's what rules. It's because it's how it dictates how babies are formed. It's because it dictates how our bodies work when they are sick, when we grow, when we need surgeries. There's certain things that we need to take account for when we take certain kinds of medicine. Yes, biology is very much a factor, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. And especially hormones, as a dominating factor in athleticism, which we know is not the case, which is very much the case, because, again, just by, we can bring up what birth control does, or HRT, which is synthetic hormones, which, traditionally, HRT is for, elders, seniors who cannot produce their natural hormones anymore, or for people who cannot produce their natural hormones anymore. That's what HRT originally was for. We've gone and used it for other things. And it's been shown that when you pump fake hormones or you screw up your body's natural balance, you get depressed. You get suicidal if it's to an extreme degree, and that's why, like, you see stuff with birth control, with other stuff, that some people are made to take off of stuff, or they have to take synthetic hormones to balance out their unnatural hormone balance. So it's, I'm so sick of these freaking clowns, man. It must be noted that there is zero evidence that trans athletes are rising in droves in women's sports. Yeah, if you turn a blind eye, they're not. Or dominating when they do in fact compete. It should be also noted that the arguments that who is really female have been used against women athletes for as long as women have played sports, with early sports commentators dismissing women athletes such as mannish, Amazons, or hermaphrodites. And that, because you're taking those out of context, those were used during a time where women were considered to be more useful in the kitchen or at home, or they were either single and working, or they were married and tending to the home. what those words are used for. They are not, mannish nowadays is a description of comparing one's features to that of a male or whatnot. But no, you're using those out of context. Amazons refers to a incredibly large woman. Remind me what a hermaphrodite is there, Ichabod?
Both parts.
Both parts?
Like,
I thought that was
Yeah.
intersex.
There's also situations of chimerism, but hermaphrodites basically have a dang deal and lady cave, I guess.
Let's see. Biology, hermaphrodite is an organism that has complete or partial reproductive organs and produces gametes normally associated with both male and female sexes.
Both parts.
Let's see. Well, no, this is a little bit different. It has both ovarian and testicular tissue. Oh, no, you're right. Individuals have ambiguous or female external-genitalia, but the chromosomal constitution and reproductive organ of a male, though the testes may be malformed or absent. So, with that being said as well, so that, because I think I've touched upon this channel too, how being intersexed or having both parts, when you knock it down, you're either still going to be one sex or the other. But yeah, once again, using those terms out of context, because those were for a different time, aimed at women who were better seen in the kitchen. So, Martina Navratilova herself was castigated in a similar manner in the 1980s. 1980s! That's like over 30 years ago.
Oh, they go further back. Keep reading.
Oh my god. Black women in particular have been targeted. Why the fuck are you bringing... Oh my god. Been targeted for this kind of abuse over the decades from officials from the International Olympic Committee arguing that black women should be banned from competitions in the 1950s to spring Caster Semenya of South Africa fight against the International Association of Athletics Federations over her eligibility to compete as a woman athlete. And now right-wing blogs are putting don't bring fucking color into this, because their color has nothing to do with it. And it's not right-wing blogs. It is people who want the biological female spaces to be left alone. Take your clown car and go away. Putting 2 black teenagers on blast for daring to play. No, it is putting 2 young men in a woman's sport, biological woman sport, and beating the shit out of all the female contestants, and then claiming first prize. Yeah, I know, a lot of parents can have something to say, and we're also seeing this in other sports. Fucking the clown car, man. As Karzaki said, there is no space here for nuanced conversation about how we understand fairness in sport, but instead we are seeing it's not transphobia, animated by erroneous beliefs of biology and gender, because they go hand in hand. Sorry. Far from centering inclusivity. Who the fuck cares? These conversations promote deep misunderstanding about gender identity, which again, there's gender expression, but how you identify, I don't give a flying fuck. I really don't. You're either male or you're female. You either commit to one. And will further discriminate towards trans athletes. So it is not, I really fucking hate this word. This is gonna go in my burn book. What are your thoughts? Like, do you have any other thoughts? Because I keep seeing this fucking word everywhere, and it's making me mad. I don't care for the word anymore. It is dead to me.
That's kind of the sad reality that we're facing, is that inclusivity has become such a toxic ideal, and it shouldn't be. Like, inclusivity is supposed to be a good thing, but now it's just become destroyed by everybody wanting everybody to do everything.
Yeah, and it's not realistic.
It's just gonna break. It's gonna break it. It's gonna break it. You're not gonna see a cis woman athlete winning at a sport that they used to be able to dominate at, because they're going to be put up against people who, even with less training, like if you look at the an MMA fighter, a female MMA fighter, and you put her up against, and this is nothing against a female MMA fighter, but you put her up against a trans MMA fighter, male to female, same level of training, or even a little less on the trans person's part, and the trans person will still tear them apart. And it's because that they just have that natural advantage. And it's depressing, but it's true.
Yeah, no, very, very much so. And like I said, I am not transphobic, but like I said, with you guys have seen Trinime here on my channel, we have our disagreements, but at the same time, Trinime goes, I chose my process, I took 10 years, I understood everything involved, I still understand I'm biologically male, but I made the decision to be female, and this is my life. So with Trinime, those people like Trinime, her, I can respect, because you know what? She doesn't try to shove that shit in my face. She goes, nope, there are boundaries. I don't want to be involved in the circus, but I have to play gatekeeper. And unfortunately, she does, because there are other people like her who got dragged in this shit because they get painted with the same brush as all these crazy yahoos. They just want to be left alone.
Yeah, no, it's an understandable concept.
Yeah. Let me touch base with the chat here. Amen. I like bacon. Not everyone can do everything. There is something men that women can't. Yeah, and that's and there are some things that women can do that men can't. Which is obviously give birth. And a while back, because this is how far the fucking craziness goes. A while back, and I do not know if this is a thing anymore. You had trans women, male to female, wanting to give birth, and there was somebody. I did a video on it. And Suit talked about this too on his previous channel before it got deleted, how they were trying to put a uterus into a guy, but he would have to take, they would have to take 9 different medications for it to stay. And this is when hormones and biology, again, plays a part, because biological women have progesterone and estrogen, and those two are dominate balance. With a little bit of testosterone, you have androgens, which, forgive me, I forget what they do. They have different functions. And then with men, you have their dominating hormones as testosterone, progesterone, which is a little bit of estrogen. And then again, you have the androgens at play. I forget what they do. But different balances, and it's there for a reason. Too long have you had people try to blur these lines, and I'm getting to the point where I'm about ready to say, fuck all of it. I can only tolerate so much, and I respect people's right to life, privacy, and all that shit, but no, man, we're starting to get like children rape centers. Whew. Let's see. They're very, very rare. The best of the best to even equal AVG. Good point, but still they pass exact same standards men do on that one. Oh, I think you're talking about military. Circumventing biology has its limits, and that is very true. Like I said, that only goes so far, and now because they're trying to stick inclusivity in everywhere, they're going to destroy many, many things. And what was considered normal, rational, even by science, like you can throw, for the sake of it, throw Christianity out the door for just a second. I haven't been arguing from a Christian point of view, but just from basic science. Throw religion, throw any faith-related thing out the door, and just look at science by itself. Even science dictates, no, this is how things are. This is how things are going to be. You can't change them. We are not animals. And I love that, too, because I was arguing with someone else on Twitter talking about how, asexual, how some animals are able to go from male to female and still reproduce, and they go back and forth, and it's evolution. No, that's the animal kingdom. We're not part of the animal kingdom, and I don't... For those of you who are evolution people out there, I don't believe that we share common ancestors with monkeys, so that argument's not even going to fly around here. What?
Apes, not monkeys, but still.
Well, yeah. So it's just no. I like science. I believe in science. I don't believe in all of science because it's still changing, and there's still some theories that they'll attack each other and debunk each other. So, but yeah. Let's cut to a 5-minute break. We are at 9:02. Then when we come back, we can talk about a little bit what's going on with PewDiePie. We are not going to talk about the situation he's being attached to. Were you going to say something there, Ichabod?
No, I'm good.
Okay. But we're going to talk about people are trying to use that situation to deplatform PewDiePie and a few others. But we will be back here in 5. So grab a snack, drink, whatever. Yeah. Okay, and we are back. There we go. So, hopefully you guys like the ad there. No, none of them are sponsoring or doing anything with this stream. It's just something to help put the word out. So, yeah, someone else did mention in the chat before we went to our break that Desmond the Amazing. I'm aware of who that is. There's also another little one called Queen Letitia.
Lactasia.
There you go. Desmond the Amazing is getting investigated for child abuse. There was a post actually on Facebook going around, I believe today or yesterday, saying that the mother supposedly, and this is in New York, and granted New York has done lost their shit, so in a way I kind of expect them to kind of look the other way with Desmond, with what's been going on with him, because it's New York.
Yeah.
But the mom has come out saying that the police are aware that CPS supposedly found no endangerment of child abuse, which part of me can believe, and then part of me will call bullshit. There is videos where, because people are really looking into this, I think even counselors or whatnot looking into this, where Desmond looks like he's drugged. There was a video to where he had fake eyelashes on. He was sitting between two men. One man in particular has a very scrupulous past. I forgot what his name is, but yeah, and Desmond looked tired. He looked worn out. He looked like he was either under Benadryl influence or something. So there's speculation that when he does some of the stuff he does is that he's under the influence of drugs. And then here's what I call BS, because if this CPS, I don't know which agency is looking into this, but if this agency seriously do not find any wrongdoing, they themselves need to be investigated. Because for those of you who do not yet know, Desmond the Amazing, forgot what day it was, but he was in a stripper gay bar 3 o'clock in the damn morning, teasing for gay men who were hooping and hollering and shoving bills in his clothing. Yeah, that's illegal. That's called exploitation of children, if not pimping out your damn kids. Child prostitution, right there. May not be sex, but no. So there's that, and that has to do with the drag community, which does tie into the trans community. No, that is not a clone reference or joke. That is a legit thing. Who was it that said this? Because I believe it was Lacey Green, when Desmond the Amazing first popped up, Lacey Green, because I started following her again after she started dating Chris Gunn or whatnot. So, but then she released a video, I swore it was her, where she called drag simply dress up. And it's just like, no, that entire culture is sexualized. It is a fetish. What?
It depends on the club. Like, to be fair, it does depend on the group. But most of them, yeah, are pretty sexualized.
Children shouldn't even be anywhere near. Like, there's a picture of Queen...
Oh, no!
Lactatia, was it Lactatia, with a drag queen who was butt naked, and they had a picture of Queen Lactatia right next to him. And he... I think it was pube hair you saw? I don't know. I just know that that area was black. He wasn't wearing any underwear or anything, and it's just like, this is disgusting. And have you noticed that this is more on boys or whatnot? Like, more little boys are being drugged into this? Have you noticed that people talk about how there's a war on little boys and men? It started from their education, toxic masculinity, trying to feminize them, trying to blur the gender lines, and now we got people trying to exploit little boys with this drag queen shit. Have you, like, not noticed that, or am I talking crazy? I got the tinfoil hat on. Please tell me I'm not the only one that's noticed this.
You're not wrong, but the sad part of it is it's a cash grab. That's all it is. It's another goddamn cash grab taking advantage of the far left's propensity for wanting inclusivity and wanting a mascot, stuff like that. It gets down to the sad realization that, like, these parents that have these kids are just so willing to make a buck that they're willing to put their children at risk. Because no, children should never go to a drag club. Children shouldn't be in those situations. They should most definitely not be standing to an unrelated adult man with no pants on.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like I said, I'm getting to a point because I'm going to say that because I told Ichabod when we were off air for like 5 minutes. I told Ichabod, and you guys do whatever at this point. But it's going to get to a point where it's going to be all or nothing. With this stuff, it's either going to be all of it, no boundaries, no compromise, no nothing. Children involved, everything. This is where we're going. The writing's on the wall. Or it's going to go to none of it. And people, because I told this to another person 1 to 2 years ago when this shit first started to come around, is you're going to have to pick a side and you're going to have to stand by it. There is not going to be any in between with this garbage. Like I said, people like Trend Anime, people who are pre-op, post-op, and between-op, who actually just want to be left alone and live their lives, you guys are going to have to stand on one side of the fence or the other. There is going to be no in-between. I'm not tinfoiling. Shit's on the wall, man. Go look at, if you guys have not seen my video that I put out earlier today, rape victims under attack by gender politics. Go look at what Vancouver, Canada is fucking doing to a women's rape shelter who is run by feminists, no less. They are shutting off financial aid, financial state, government aid to the shelter because the shelter tell them, no, get bent. You're not having males in a biological woman's center. This is for the victims. This is not about you or inclusivity or gender identity politics. Again, it's the transgender at work. They're now attacking rape victims. It's going to get worse. This is not a thing that's going to go away. And this is why I try not to poke my nose into this shit very much, but when I do, I see some horrendous crap and I just want to take a bat to all of it and get the fuck out. Again, nothing to my viewers. But, again, it's coming, dudes. It really is. I sound like Alex Jones right now, but I tell you what. And then, if you want, we can move. Let me touch base with the chat. We can move on to like the PewDiePie stuff. Again, we're not talking about the situation. I don't want to give it any more attention than it already has. Let's see. Tatiana Whitaker says children need to be left alone with this crap. Yes, they do. Falcon said they agree. Yes, Tatiana. Joking Juggernaut, leave the kids out of this crazy crap. Tatiana, not sure if it's still being pushed, but pedophilia was being pushed. No, it's still being pushed, Tatiana. There's a video.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, it's still being pushed, and I will tell you right now, again, writing's on the wall, it will be added to the LGBT. I'm not kidding. The steps
Batman.
Batman! It's already added. And some groups, some parts of the states, it's already added. That group is fucked. And it's going to spread. And it's gonna spread through this drag shit. It's gonna spread by other means. So there is no saving that group. It's gonna be all or nothing. And the war centrists always die first, and that is true. I'm like I said, I come from a Christian conservative background. I'm not really a centrist. I try not to identify with any political group. I don't say I'm a Republican, a Democrat. I poke out the left and Dems because most of them are fucking nuts. But for me, I go with the policy that I feel is right. For the most part, stereotypes are fulfilled. But yeah.
See, like, this is the thing. I am a centrist.
Yeah.
I've always been a centrist, but I'm not going to play the middle on something like this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play the middle on it. Just because you don't identify with the conservative or the liberal, just because you don't identify as Republican or Democrat, doesn't mean you don't strongly believe in your beliefs. You're just open to interpretation. You're open to hearing another side of things. When it comes down to the fact of should children be allowed in this? No, absolutely not. Never. Not for 5 seconds. Not for freaking 2 seconds. Not for 1 second. Child should never be in a drag club. There's no place for them there. It's adult entertainment. That's like saying, hey, let's send our kids to a porn studio to absorb the freaking to observe the situation. No, you don't take your kids to a porn studio. You don't take them to a drag club. You don't take little Billy to the goddamn strip club. It's not what you do, because they're children. They're separate from sexual situations. You're supposed to. That's why we have the ESRB. That's why we have 21 and over establishments. That's why we have adult areas in certain clubs. That's why kids under 18 are not allowed to gamble in a casino. There has to be a standard. There has to be a base. Children do not belong in these situations or in these places. And unfortunately, we're seeing it happen more and more. And I will never accept the concept of what they're trying to shove into the LGBT community, which is minor attracted person. Now, here's the thing about that. They're minor attracted, but they're sure as heck not a person. They don't get to be a person anymore. They forfeited that right when they decide they're going to try and diddle kids. You're not a human being anymore. You're scum. Throw you down the freaking pit with the rest of the scum, and y'all can fight it out to see who can climb out of the pit first. But when you get to the top of the pit, guess what? There's somebody with a bullet waiting for you, because that's all you deserve. Pedophiles do not deserve life.
No, and I agree. I've always said 6 feet under, big wooden box. You might as well go buy your own damn shovel, because no.
I'm giving them a proper burial. Just throw them in the pit with the rest of the pedophiles. But like that's the thing. Everybody seems to think a centrist doesn't take a side. It's not that we're not going to take a side. It's we're going to take the side that makes the most sense. That's what a centrist does. Like when it comes to universal income, I don't believe that's a good idea.
Oh my God.
When it comes to universal healthcare, maybe if implemented correctly. That's two completely opposite sides of the spectrum. I don't like the concept of the Second Amendment ever being infringed, but I do feel that there could be reasonable limitations for gun control. Two opposite sides of the fence. It's not that goddamn hard. It's called not being a person who will kowtow just because your freaking side decides to do A or B. In a certain fashion, everybody's a goddamn centrist, because we're all going to listen to an argument and actually have an opinion on it. Unless you were so absolutely selected onto one side or the other, you're not anything but a centrist, because you're taking the logical, intelligent portion of every argument and applying it to the situation. You're not going to sit there and go like, well, I don't think that Nazis and communists are both bad, but they're equally bad. So I'm just going to say let's not mess with either of them. No, Nazis and communists both belong in the ditch.
Yeah. When it comes to pedophiles, hello, James, and hello, Ichabod. People in the chat saying they deserve the firing squad set on fire. No. The pedophiles who decide to act upon their urges, they should be taught to be terrified of what they're doing. The only way to deal with these people is to put the fear of fucking God into them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it just, like I said, this stuff is being touched to LGBT. It's already in some states been accepted. The P is already here. The P is already added. Some people try to turn it as pansexual. No, pedo. That is already been added to the LGBT in some parts of the states.
I mean, let's face it, we all find children attractive, but we don't find them sexually attractive.
Yeah, no, please fucking word that correctly. Yeah,
I find kids attractive because they remind me of what it was like to be a kid. Yeah, the innocence, the energy, the enthusiasm, the sheer wonder of the world. And a paedophile takes all that away from them. That's worst crime imaginable, if you ask me.
Yeah. Now to try to move on, because I don't like this too heavy written. Again, we're not gonna, with the PewDiePie thing. An incident happened in New Zealand. Again, we're not going to talk about the incident. I don't want to give any more attention than it already has. He should not be named. Is they are trying to, you have people from, I believe it's Kotaku, MisterTodd. Actually, let me pull up his tweets because I archived them just in case a little shit went into hiding. Let me actually pull the, okay, anytime you have a guy come out Like, I'm not kidding. Anytime you have a guy come out and accuse someone else of, like, wrongdoing or, like, he should be deplatformed, he looks like some sort of a freaking hobbit or some sort of troll or some. I'm not kidding. I'll show you what I mean here. So, give me one sec. Let me flip over to the TV here.
You know,
Okay.
there is one thing that I do want to say about this once you get everything out, but yeah, no, I have a point to make.
Okay. Yeah, no, okay. I told you.
He looks like
breakfast.
he looks like the nerd character from any given sitcom.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's who he is. He's the robot chicken nerd.
Oh. Wait. Whoa. Hold on. What was that?
It fucking looks like Mary.
Okay. Capricorn, I'm gonna give you one warning. That no, nobody deserves that. Anyway, so this is the guy. Yes, his name is MisterTodd, and so I went and archived his tweets because this is the guy that wants to get PewDiePie deplatformed and trying to attach him to that horrible situation in New Zealand. And get to the trend to now deplatform Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro. There's something else going on around with Ben Shapiro in a YouTube interview. How they're talking about how they should or shouldn't deplatform Ben Shapiro from YouTube when he has one of the highest ranking podcasts in the world. So I saw that floating around too. So this is what those little shit. So these are in order. I don't know if he said anything else, but this is archived a few hours ago. Rest in peace, my mentions, but also rest in peace the people murdered by the guy who yelled PewDiePie's name before he did it, so I guess nobody wins. Hooray. So during that incident, the individual, before he carried out his deed, did say subscribe to PewDiePie. So this little gremlin, whatever the fuck, is trying to get PewDiePie deplatformed because trying time to that incident. F you PewDiePie fans, your boy has had too many racism Nazi scandals to write off as a coincidence or edgy comedy. His jokes aren't funny and he's effing trash. He made a few jokes. That was it. No, I never do that. 8chan and PewDiePie have both long been associated with the right. PewDiePie's not the right. Now, 8chan, if you want to go rile that monster, have fun, my dude. I'd love to see him go poke at 8chan. Go poke at 8chan, you little shit.
Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Go do that. Go get them deplatformed. Go do that. Sorry.
This whole thing about deplatforming people.
That was a joke, 8chan. That was a joke.
Nobody should be deplatformed. Because if they've got something intelligent to say, it's worth listening. If they're an idiot, it's worth entertainment, and besides, you're giving them a rope to hang themselves by.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
The best way to discredit bad ideologies is to let them speak.
Yeah. So
I love this. Let me look at the chat. What a dweeb. Death Hunt, LOL. He looks ready for second breakfast, LOL. I haven't been paying much attention to the chat. Shut up, Hobbit. He looks like the creepy neighbor that lives in his mother's basement. Rule 3 of the internet. Do not mess with 4chan and 8chan. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Tatiana, he looks like the creepy neighbor that lives in his mother's basement and his mother doesn't know he's there.
That's because he has the one ring. Okay. I gotta get serious here on this because
Ichabod, you're wrong. It's his precious.
Yes, his precious. No, I know. All right, so I'm gonna be real blunt on this concept because of what Todd here is doing. This is called guilt by association, and we've all experienced it anytime we've not even knowingly dealt with somebody who ends up doing something shitty in the future. Like
even
guilt by
pre-internet.
association happens. But Mr. Todd, let me be very blunt on this concept. So when are you going to come out against Jodie Foster, the Marine Corps, Cher? Let's see. John Lennon.
The Marine Corps?
What was the other guy? J.D. Salinger, the author of Catcher in the Rye, the Army, the Navy, every president who's ever existed.
The Catholic Church.
When are you going to come out? Yeah, the Catholic Church. Anybody who's ever inspired anything, which means you also have to come out against Islam, Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, Hamas, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, democracy, capitalism, communism, Nazism, every single thing that has ever inspired somebody to kill somebody else in the past. When are you going to come out against everything on the planet? Because that is what you're doing here. You're coming out against somebody who's completely unrelated to this entire situation. Coming against somebody who literally, through every single thing he has ever done, because back when they did the PewDiePie's a Nazi thing, I went through days and hours of this man's content, and he's like one of the most positive people ever. He's just a white Markiplier.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it. Like, he's just a Let's Player. The dude plays video games on the internet. It's not that bloody difficult to understandable concept that he's unrelated to a loony bird. And if you sit there and to be fair, I went through Douche McDoucherton's stupid manifesto, and he's got copy pastas in there.
Yeah, so if this
dude was certifiably 100% insane. He was an idiot.
If this guy, in New Zealand, before he got taken down, and yelled something like, "Watch the Animaniacs," would that mean the Animaniacs are literally Hitler?
And the dude, he would have to say the same thing about environmentalism, because he mentioned that by name.
Yep.
So is environmentalism now Nazism just because some dumbass decided he was going to talk about it? Somebody who in 10 years will be utterly forgotten because he was worthless trash? Are we now going to kick out all forms of environmentalism, PewDiePie himself, and every other ideology on the planet that's inspired somebody to act stupid because they decided they were going to go off their meds?
That's one thing I want to know. This guy describes himself as an environmental Nazi. Does that mean he wants to round up all the undesirable plants and animals and put them in concentration camps?
Yeah, like that's the thing. He says that there is no environmentalism without nationalism. That's the dumbest concept I ever heard in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The man was an idiot, an insane idiot. Just because you stopped taking your meds doesn't mean that Candace Owens, PewDiePie, environmentalism, every other little thing that he mentioned in there it is evil. No, it just means that some crazy guy decided to get a bunch of guns and do something stupid. Mm-hmm. And it's the whole concept behind this. Mr. Todd, you are an equal idiot to throw thousands upon thousands of concepts, ideas, and thoughts. This is thought crime, which we don't prosecute because you know what? You're an idiot.
Oh, hold on, Ichabod.
Did you moron?
Ichabod, did you say thought crime or thought crime?
Lol.
A little of both.
All right, that's because he has a little bit more here. Let's see. Whenever I do that, 8chan and PewDiePie both have long been associated with the right, which is why I mentioned them. Internet culture is effing garbage. No, you just don't understand internet culture, and you try to police it, and therefore you get scorched. The Christchurch shooter posted a manifesto on 8chan and shouted, "Subscribe to PewDiePie" before opening fire on the mosque. Live streaming the whole thing, which, by the way, happened on Facebook, and a lot of that shit happens on Facebook. Where's it at? The whole thing. The internet is 1,000% a vehicle for right-wing radicalization. Oh, okay. The internet radicalizes people, guys.
You know, as a side note, like another thing from the dude's stuff is he said he's not a conservative, he's not a liberal, he's not right-wing, he's not left-wing. He says he's all of it in there. So this dude didn't even take the 15 minutes it took me to read 76 freaking pages of some crazy dude's insane ramblings, 3 of which were the Special Forces copy pasta.
I don't even know what that is, but
Oh my god,
I'll
it's
take your word.
ridiculous. But like this whole thing through all of it, like if he had said subscribe to my Twitch channel, would they be getting rid of Twitch? No, because it's got nothing to do with it.
Well,
You
they're
found an
getting
easy
the Twitch
target,
anyway.
somebody who's been hit enough times that he's probably so absolutely done with trying to be positive and help people donate to charities and do so much good for the world. Then eventually he's just gonna be like, you know what? I'm so disillusioned with you people because you want the world, but I can't be me. So why would he continue? And like, this is the sad, sad truth about it. Felix is a good dude. And he has to put up with this freaking hobbit. He has to deal with freaking a took. Nobody should be dealing with a took.
That's not a took.
Gandalf didn't even like tooks.
That's a brandy wine.
Hey guys, meme this guy. Make a hobbit of him, please.
I mean, the
Tweet
look
it
on
out.
that face. That's the look on the face of a 12-year-old who's just wandered club.
I swear, like when these men jump on like these movements, they also look like squeebs. They either middle-aged men who look like they're fucking spent, or they look like children. Man, always. It's like I don't understand the trend. Quit fulfilling it. Quit fulfilling the stereotype because you guys have created one now. Stop it. Oh yeah, no, I actually laughed when I saw this guy. Okay, let me finish reading here.
I mean, let's be honest about him. I mean, he could go out cosplaying as Stephen Hawking with that face.
Yeah.
I think Stephen Hawking could express better.
Well, I didn't say he could be Stephen Hawking. I said he could cosplay as him. There's a difference.
It's like I said, man. Like all of this is just pure.
I love you.
Pure unadulterated ridiculousness. Don't attack somebody because their name was mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people have spoken the name of... let's just take the one that people speak the name of constantly before they commit great acts of violence. Allah and God. Is God evil because there's some crazy people who used to scream "Death Fult" as they slaughtered the Saracen hordes? No. Is Allah evil just because a bunch of people run around with freaking bomb vests, pull them and go Allahu Akbar? No.
Yeah.
There's reasons for it, but that's
actually,
not the
yes,
one.
Yes,
Allah is evil
because when these guys go die, Allah rewards them by letting them play Magic the Gathering with 72 versions.
The other versions are the ones that blew themselves up. Ow!
Damn. Let's see. YouTube will never escape its association with bullshit creators like PewDiePie and Logan Paul, which PewDiePie and Logan Paul do not even fall in the same bracket because Logan Paul is a fucking troll that needs to actually be whacked upside the head because he even went as far as to disrespect Japan. And we even talked about this. I'm echoing on someone's end. Talked about this 2 or 3 streams ago, where not only did he go into Japan and desecrate the suicide forest, but he also messed with a very special fish called the koi fish. And when they're gathered, and this is a rule, again, we're going to reiterate, anytime you see koi fish gathered in a pond, restaurant, whatever, you do not fuck with the koi fish. Certain colors mean specific things. Logan Paul went and started to fuck around with some of these ponds in Japan. You don't do that.
Well, Logan Paul did what most Western tourists who have no clue what they're doing did. The only difference is he has a YouTube account.
Yeah, this is what happens when you get rid of crap like Vine. You have to deal with people coming from Vine over to YouTube. But like this is the whole thing. Like, this is not journalism. This is pointing a finger and waggling it at somebody who's completely unrelated to something. Mm-hmm. And it is the most irritating concept I've ever had to deal with in my life. Because I know if any of us were to get big, we'd have to deal with this exact same shit. I shouldn't have to... Felix, just as much as me, shouldn't have to go onto their channel and be like, this was not anything I would want. That's not the man's obligation. It shouldn't be the man's obligation.
No, it shouldn't. And I guess some of these are from 2018, 2017. I just did a keyword search. Paul, no matter how hard they scramble to drop them, it's the premium streaming equivalent of the reality channel, because I guess he's been shitting on PewDiePie for a little bit here. I truly wanted PewDiePie to learn from his mistakes and grow as a person, but I guess when you're making millions, there's no incentive. I like PewDiePie. I see PewDiePie's learned absolutely nothing over the past year. Oh well. Yeah, like I said, he's a little troll that came out of his hole and needs to go back in his hole and stay there.
Yeah, it was basically, oh, look, I can make myself famous with this.
Even with that, like, even if he doesn't go back to his hole, just quit bitching. Quit bitching about things that has nothing to do with the person you're complaining about. Because it doesn't. There's nothing you would have to say. It's like the people that say, when you go listen to Worski, you're going to go crazy. No, you're not going to go crazy. He can be a very entertaining gent, and he makes some poor decisions, but he's not directly affecting his audience. His audience is already the way they are, and they're going to act the way they want to act, and that's not on him. Just like it's not on Felix, it's not on Markiplier, it's not on freaking Logan Paul or Jake Paul, as much as I don't like the little twats. There's no reason why I should blame them for their stupid fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just, and I've come to the conclusion, this Andrew Todd fella, he's the bastard son of Howard from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I just, people like this, you know, why can't, because he even had, and I cannot believe he had to be the one to say it, as much as that little shit has caused, and honestly, he shouldn't be on YouTube. He should be rectifying his garbage. Onision came out and put out a tweet asking people not to cover the story, and the reason why is you do not give attention to people like this, because it gives them what they want. It creates chaos. It creates division. A lot of people were doing just that. So for Onision even put out a tweet like that, just like, oh my god, for once the guy makes sense, and that's fucking scary as shit. Because
Onision is people like that.
Well, that's another example, though. I wouldn't blame Onision if one of his little teeny bopper fans went out and shot up a school. That's not Onision's fault that he's got some unhinged fans. Even though, I mean, the man himself, I'd have beat him with a bat by now if he were anywhere near me. But that don't change a thing. Like, he's not responsible for his fans, just like none of us are responsible for the people who are subscribers, or fans, or even our patrons. We are not responsible for their actions. You are only responsible for your own actions.
Yeah, no, and that's very true. And when people say, oh, well, you need to control your fans or whatnot, no, you need to, number one, learn how to dwell on the internet. Number two, I'm not responsible for my fans. I could tell them all day long, don't go harass this person. I'm not putting this up to be harassive or aggressive. I'm putting this up to call out their BS, like I did with Eve Flotis tonight, because she struck two of my videos, and the system took longer and it got removed. Somebody told me, hey, your video's gone, so I re-uploaded it after changing the title and changing the title back, and I showed the photos before you popped in, Ichabod, of her little accusation against Jesse Prime. Was like, strike my stream because it's in another place. You want to play the game? Let's play. You're not going to shut me up. You're not going to make this go away. So when you have people like that, it just, no. I mean, I'm not bullying you. I'm not harassing you. But you got called out and shit. And the fact that she still has the claim up, by the way, is fucking hilarious. But she has the photos hidden, but I still got the photos. I was like, okay, you can strike my videos all day long, but it's everywhere else. And I'll continue to put the video back up as long as YouTube lets me, and show the photos in other videos.
One of the things that's a really big deal about this whole story, and it's one of the things that really irritates the piss out of me, is you can't assign responsibility for someone else's actions on to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to be responsible for fans. Fans need to be responsible for themselves. And by taking what this person has done and applying it to PewDiePie, to poor Felix on this, taking what the basic concept of accountability for your own actions and assigning blame to somebody else. It's the same thing when some idiot wearing a MAGA hat goes out and kicks the crap out of somebody. And it happens very rarely, but when that shit happens, it's not Trump's fault that this person acted like an idiot. It's not Felix's fault that this dude acted like an idiot. That is the idiot's fault. And by assigning it to somebody else, you are shifting the blame from the actual person who is in trouble's fault. And you are giving them a pass on their actions.
Yeah.
And that is reprehensible beyond reasoning. And scum like that freaking Todd dude are the people that are taking accountability from the hands of the people who are committing actions and putting it in the hands of somebody else because we're just so easily freaking swayed. We're just brainless people. We're just brainless husks waiting for somebody to tell us our opinions. No, you are responsible for your own actions, and you always will be.
I'll have to wait for confirmation from my master before I agree with you or disagree with you.
I will spank you like a dirty girl, Batman.
I didn't know you could do anything like a dirty girl, but if you're going to spank me like one.
Okay, I have some good news. So for those of you, just a quick switch subject because I covered this before Ichabod, before you came on, because I pointed this out at the beginning of my stream, and this is actually kind of cool. YouTube had demonetized Hirohi's entire channel. Well, literally, this was posted at 8:53. We started streaming at 8 o'clock. And went like 4 hours ago, so they make 6:45. So literally halfway through our stream, YouTube comes in response to Hirohi. Let me make sure I'm showing this right. Thanks for tagging us. Your channel was reviewed again, and the team confirmed this was a mistake. You've been approved again for YouTube
partnership program.
Yes, to monetize. Really sorry about this. So I'm going to retweet that.
Look, YouTube doing something sensible for a change.
Congratulations, hey. It's nice to see you've got your monetization back. You do deserve it. You've been covering this stuff really, really well. And we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I literally mentioned at the beginning of my stream and literally halfway through, oh look, your channel's back. Yay! Sorry, I'm pulling Twitter as I'm talking to you guys. So.
You're fine. Did we do the other story? Do we want to do the other story? Just to shift away from my anger.
I'm sorry, I completely forgot about it. We switched over. Okay, so let me switch back over to, let me grab that article. Okay, I think this is stupid. So I'm not a smoker. I've smoked some cigars in the past or whatnot. And kids are going to be stupid. Kids are going to smoke regardless of what you do. It doesn't matter if you make it nasty. So what the FDA is wanting to do is, for those of you who are familiar with Swisher Sweets, it's a flavored cigar on the outside, and any type of flavored cigarette, vapes, things like that. FDA wants to put a ban on all that. Again, I don't smoke myself. It's kind of a nasty habit. I've had a few cigars here or there in the past. I don't touch them anymore. But yeah, this is from the New York Daily News. The feds took a step to take in the flavor out of e-cigarettes for kids Wednesday. And I want you, because there's a certain sentence in here that I want you guys to really pay attention to, because it shows you just how stupid this is. The Food and Drug Administration announced policy changes it expects will lead to the banning of flavored cigars and certain flavored e-cigarettes, as well as restricting the sale of other flavored tobacco products to places where children are not permitted. Did you catch that? As well as restricting the sale of other flavored tobacco products to places where children are not permitted. So they want to take away flavored cigarettes not only from the kids, which kids are going to smoke regardless of what you do, but from the adults. Like, we're going to take these things away from the adult because we feel you shouldn't have them.
Well,
there are places.
Kids are going to smoke because A, they see adults doing it, and B, it's a sign of rebellion, and they think it's cool.
Well, it's not just that. Some people use the nicotine to relax, and I'm not saying smoking is a good habit. But go ahead, Ichabod.
It's a terrible habit. Here's the thing. restricting the sale of other flavored tobacco products to places where children are not permitted. Means tobacco shops is where you're going to have to go to get them, like head shops. Like if you're wanting to get a hookah tobacco that's got a fruity flavor, e-cigarette fluid that has like a fruity flavor or a candy flavor, flavored cigars that have a fruity or a candy flavor, they'll just be put in strictly head shops. So if you are worried about this, figure out where your local head shop is. There is one. I guarantee it.
But here's the thing. They're already, all of this stuff, a lot of the stores already sell the stuff behind the counter. You need a fucking ID to get a box of cigarettes. It's 18.
Like has been said in the chat, prohibition never works. In fact, prohibition makes criminals of innocent people.
Yeah, it'll only make the problem 1,000 times worse, because just like with alcohol, it's the same excuse. They're just going to send adults in to buy it for them.
If it wasn't for the prohibition in the 20s and 30s, the United States would not have had such a huge problem with organised crime. That's what made the organised crime strong, was prohibition.
Yeah. Are people still convinced that vaping and e-cigarettes, flavored cigarettes, for that matter, are in the same vein as smoking? I don't think so, but they do lead to another condition called popcorn lung, where it clogs up the smaller vessels of your lungs and you feel like you're short of breath and you feel like you have bronchitis or whatnot. But I still think it's stupid because, again, you need a fucking ID to buy a freaking pack of cigarettes. You need an ID to buy a 2-pack of the flavored Swisher Sweet cigars. So, and they're already kept behind either the counter, which is a glass container or glass door, whatever they have to open up. Walmart does this. Freaking Lambo's does this. Any gas station does this. Here's the counter. Some of them are locked away. They have to unlock the damn case. So this is really stupid. In a 20-page guidance document released Wednesday, the federal agency outlined what it described as a non-binding recommendations and its priorities for use of enforcement. Those priorities include getting flavored e-cigarettes and any e-cigs that are marketed to minors off store shelves. No cigarettes are fucking marketed to children, you dumb shits. They're marketed to adults. How children get a hold of them is through parents, siblings, stealing them, older friends. So nobody is freaking marketing tobacco to children. It's illegal. You need to be 18 in the U.S. to get anything tobacco related. God, they're stupid. This is coming out of New York, so I'm not surprised. Oh my God. I don't even smoke and I can see the idiocy in this. God. What? The release of the policy guidelines comes just 3 days after Senator Charles Schumer called on the FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb to crack down the sale of flavored e-cigs. You're not going to make that shit go away. You're really not, because people have their own way of flavoring that stuff. Whether it's store brand, handmade, you're not going to get it to go away. I recently brought the New York teens struggling with their e-cig addiction to sit down with Dr. Gottlieb, Schumer said Wednesday. While more must be achieved to end this dangerous youth trend, today's advancements are a good step in snuffing out the kid-friendly. It's not kid-friendly flavors. The flavors put in cigars, cigarettes, is to make the cigarettes taste better for the fucking adults. That's why... Hello. For any of you who guys remember the smoking Camel, was it the pack of Camel, if you guys remember? Joe Camel, 1990s. I remember Joe Camel. My parents didn't smoke, but I remember seeing the boxes. He had the sunglasses, he had the black jacket, he held a pack, he had a cigarette sticking out of his mouth. That is why cartoons in the U.S. were fucking banned off of cigarette boxes. Now you see some snazzy lettering, you see like some weird color shaper thingy. But no, you do not see any cartoon character on any tobacco product because it was already banned, that advertisement, because kids were associating cartoons with the cigarettes and go, oh, well, this is a good thing. That's what they were banned in like 1990s, early 2000s. Because you're fucking stupid.
Well, they were more banned towards the 80s, but that was caused by a Flintstones episode.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, they were smoking, but even still, they cracked down on it more as I was growing up, because Marlboro changed, Camel Pack changed to a realistic-looking Camel. So, no, this was done away with years ago.
I think they tried to stop the Camel brand because it was encouraging the Arabs to smoke.
Oh,
Sorry.
God.
I had to go there.
Juul, one of the top manufacturers of e-cigarettes, I've never had an e-cig or vaped, and one that is
They're disgusting.
widely popular with kids, said Wednesday that it is committed to reducing youth usage. If you want to talk about like reducing youth usage, have more conversations, but you putting a ban on flavors is not going to stop jack deadly shit because they're going to flavor it themselves. They're going to continue to get the cigarettes from their siblings, their mom's purse, their dad's jacket pocket, their grandpa's freaking drawer. Kids are going to get a hold of shit regardless of what you do. It's having those conversations and finding out why they were smoking that is important.
And to point out the concept of teenage youth stupidity,
yes,
they'll do it in dangerous ways. Like they'll try to use essential oils to do it, and you can start getting kids dying from it.
Well, you want teenage stupidity. There was a craze over here about 10 years back of kids getting hold of whiskey or rum or any other kind of liquor and getting a syringe and injecting it straight into the veins.
Oh,
instantly drunk.
And slowly dead.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Wow, that's
We support category-wide action, including the responsibility, restricted sale of flavored products, and will review today's draft guidance and will continue to work with the FDA, state attorney general, local municipalities, and community organizations as a transplant responsible partner in combating underage use. A statement posted to the company's website said, which is ridiculous.
But the sale is already restricted. The sale of tobacco is already restricted to 18. Nobody's arguing to lower the fucking sale, but kids are going to smoke regardless. It's just like weed. And I know people say the war on drugs is stupid. Now, there are some drugs that need to stay the fuck off the streets, or if you're going to go crack it out, go find a hole and do that in. No offense. And I need to be careful now with that sort of thing, because I personally know somebody now who is counseling people who struggle with alcohol and drugs as an addiction. So I need to be careful now with what I say as to not to disrespect their work. But at the same time, if you choose to destroy your life that way and not seek help, please go find a hole. Go do it over there.
The thing about it is with serious addiction like that, they're not going to kick the habit just because you tell them to.
Right.
They never will. An addict has to want to quit, or they're never going.
Very true.
I don't know. That is true.
I mean, look at Batman. He's addicted to having dead parents. He's never going to do anything to solve that.
Oh, jeez, man.
That was that was uncalled for.
I'm sure that Martha thought it was pretty uncalled for.
Why did you use that name?
Damn, son. But yeah,
No, seriously. I'm a smoker. I know it's bad for me. I know I should stop, but I don't want to. I like it too much.
It's your vice. Again, people should be able to choose their vices, but at the same time, certain things do not belong on the streets because it does destroy neighborhoods. Smoking is not one of them.
Hell, if I could choose my vice, it would be hookers and blow. I mean, come on.
No blow. God dang it, Batman.
Nah, I'm joking. About the blow.
But, no, I came across that article, and you can't... I am for boundaries, I'm for restrictions on certain things, but you can't fucking bubble wrap everything. Instead of taking the time to actually have a conversation, the child could be smoking due to stress. It could be that they saw a sibling do it and their house became chaotic or something, because nicotine is a relaxant. People smoke it to relax because they're also addicted to it. But at the same time, go ahead.
When it comes to kids, you shouldn't bubble wrap anything. I mean, there's certain things you just don't discuss with kids until they're old enough, but you don't bubble wrap anything, otherwise you raise weak adults.
You know what my dad did, and I don't advocate for doing this because it's kind of fucked up, right? What my dad did was when he first saw us smoking, when we were under the age, of legal purchase. So what he did was he took each of us out back, and then he punched us right in the damn lung. And he's like, well, that's what your life's going to be if you keep smoking. And I didn't start till 21. And that's exactly what it feels like after smoking long enough. It feels like you got punched in the lung every time you wake up. Smoking sucks, but...
I started smoking when I was about 15. And my dad found out when I was 16. He probably strongly suspected one before that. You know what parents are actually like. They know more than you realise. But he decided he was going to teach me a lesson and took me to the back garden, give me a packet of cigarettes, and made me smoke the entire lot off.
Oh, God.
And when I was finished, I asked if I could have go get a glass of water. So I went in the house, had a glass of water, and come back out smoking a cigarette.
You fucking dick.
Yeah, just to prove to him that he couldn't stop me unless I wanted him to. But
yeah.
Sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't.
That's when we hand you the carton of real hand you just a pack of cigars and say, okay, inhale one of those.
I started smoking with unfiltered cigarettes.
So, well, no, a cigar is going to hurt you a lot more than a cigarette will. It's just so much worse.
I can take a cigar. You're not supposed to actually inhale from a cigar.
No, you're not supposed to inhale it. That's why you tell them to inhale it.
I do. That's how I smoke cigars. I inhale the smoke and I blow it out.
You're not supposed to do that, Batman.
I know you're not.
It's not how you smoke a cigar.
Like I said, I don't touch them anymore, but the only cigars I've had is Swisher Sweets. So.
Oh, that's a cigarello at best.
Yeah.
You want a cigar? Go find you a Drew Estate Acid Cuba cigar. That's a cigar.
No, I'm good. I don't like. No, well, like, okay, with the Swisher Sweets, and real quick, we're not making fun of anybody who has struggled with past addictions. For those of you who are broken free, awesome. I actually have a personal sibling-in-law who got clean of heavy-duty drugs, and they're taking care of the house, and they're doing well for themselves. So, I'm not making fun of that struggle at all. But I will say...
The basic rule with cigars is if you can hold it with your lips, it's not a cigar. If it feels like you're trying to chew on the end of a thick sausage, then it's a cigar.
With the Swisher Sweets, I mean, like, it's so like deceiving because you get like the taste of like the paper. It tastes really good, and then you just at that point, you might as well just grab ashes out of a campfire and stick them in your mouth because that's the equivalent.
Well,
it's like.
That's why I suggest the Drew Estate cigars, because they've got like a honey on the end, and it's got that really sweet flavor, but it's also got the aromatic taste because they're I don't know, they're like kept in a certain like container that infuses them, and they got a beautiful smell. As long as you are very keen not to smoke them all the time. Because, you know, that's the same way it is with any vice, everything in moderation. You don't want to be smoking 20 of them a day. You're going to end up with mouth cancer.
If you survive that long.
You have to live that long.
Oh, hey, I stopped my cousin's son, youngest son, from smoking. You know how I did it? Well, he went to school in the same town I live in, obviously. But I had a job in this shop at the time on the main street. So every time he's out for lunch break, I'd be able to spot him. I told him every time I saw him smoking, I was going to take his cigarettes off him, and I was also going to charge him like 10 pence per cigarette that was left in the box. He stopped smoking within 2 weeks.
See, here's what I did, because my little cousin decided he was going to try to start smoking when he was about 16. So what I done is I was like, okay, here's what's going to happen. You can smoke your cigarettes for a day, but you only get 2 packs, and I'm going to hang on to the other pack till you're done with the first one. He finishes off the first pack. So what I had done is I had filled an old bowl that I was getting ready to get rid of with piss. And I soaked the filters in them overnight, pulled them out, let them dry out. And then he started smoking them with the piss in them. And he's like, what is going on? I'm like, that's just what it tastes like after a while. sounds like you're a smoker now. And he's sitting there like, I don't want to taste pee. And I'm like, well, then you better quit smoking.
Oh, my mate's father had a better trick. My mate's father is one of these diehard practical jokers. And you know those cigarette caps? You put them in a cigarette and they explode. Well, he'd go through his pockets when he was in bed, find his cigarettes, and he'd carefully, get half of the tobacco out of the tube. Then he'd put a couple of these caps in, and then he'd fill it back up, tap it down so it's all nice and secure. And he'd do it to all of the cigarettes in his pack. So every time he lit up, he didn't know when it was coming, but he knew sooner or later that cigarette was going to explode. It got to the stage where if anybody lit up around him, he would flinch.
Wait, what did you put in the cigarette to make it explode? What?
Pop cap.
They're like a cap you put in, like an explosive cap.
Like from a pop gun.
Oh
Yeah,
my
like the little
gosh.
cap guns. Yeah.
But they're specifically designed so that you put them in cigarettes.
Yeah. Oh goodness,
That's-
we've been going for a while.
That's
Chambers.
evil.
We,
Yeah, I see. That's so evil.
I'm just letting you know.
No,
I got one job. Dang it.
Yeah, we're like 6 minutes over. That's fine. But yeah, I'll wrap it up here as there's other stuff I gotta go do. Like I said, with this stream, wanted to take a break away from the Vic Manana stuff. We mentioned it a little bit here and there because there's some stuff that needed to be brought up and re-emphasized. Eve. I wasn't trying to be offensive or harsh, but with all the trans stuff and what we talked about, just there's lines in the sand, dude. And at this point, I'm about building walls. There need to be walls with freaking barbed wire at the top. Do not climb over.
I like Vic Mignogna, but I've got to admit the thing I like about him most is his fiancée, Michelle Specht.
They are actually no longer
Are they not?
together. No.
I still like her though.
God, Batman.
I'm sorry. I'm a sucker for redheads.
God damn it, Batman.
Don't tell me you've got red hair.
No, I clearly have very dark, near black hair.
I'm on about Ichabod here.
I don't know.
fucking judge me.
Run, Ichabod.
I will find you.
But anyway, you guys have a nice night. Keep you up to date. See you, Gabe. Let's see, the Batman situation. Suddenly I'm reminded of the one classic Disney short. Yes, I was gonna bring that up real quick. Of a Disney short where Huey, Dewey, and Louie bought cigars for Donald, only for Donald to think they wanted to smoke. Yes, and he stuffed all of them in the mouth, lit them up, and then when he went back to the box, he found for Uncle Donald, and he felt like shit. That episode was so fucked up. Oh god, I remember that.
Oof.
Yeah,
Donald Duck was the cartoon character that really represented the ordinary person, didn't he? Because he didn't have a perfect life. He tended to mess up, and quite often got involved in misunderstandings, like all of us.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you guys have a good night. Have a good week. And I will keep you guys posted on the Save James if I hear anything, and anything related to the Vic Manana stuff that is important. I'm not covering the Twitter war shit. You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.